Imagine a sound so loud it doesn't just vibrate in your ears, it vibrates in your bones. It's a low, guttural roar, like 1,000 freight trains screaming through a tunnel at once. Now look up. Looming over the horizon isn't a storm cloud or a mountain. It's a 40-foot tall wall of black mist moving at 40 miles per hour, carrying with it the pulverized remains of 3 entire towns. This isn't a movie. This was Johnstown, Pennsylvania on May 31st, 1889. And in the middle of this literal apocalypse, a 6-month-old baby named Thomas Kline was about to do the impossible. He wasn't going to run. He wasn't going to hide. He was going to take a ride on a mattress through the mouth of hell and come out the other side to change the world. To understand how Thomas ended up on that mattress, we have to talk about the crime of the century. And make no mistake, Johnstown wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a failure of ego. High above the valley sat Lake Conemaugh, held back by the South Fork Dam. But this wasn't some government-regulated piece of infrastructure. This was the private playground of the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club. We're talking about the 1% of the Gilded Age: Andrew Carnegie, Henry Clay Frick, Andrew Mellon, the titans of industry. They wanted a lake for their yachts and their summer parties, so they bought an old abandoned dam and fixed it. But their idea of fixing it was removing the drainage pipes to sell them for scrap and lowering the top of the dam so their carriages could drive across it. They even put up fish screens that got clogged with debris, turning the dam into a ticking time bomb. Down in the valley, the 30,000 people of Johnstown knew the dam was leaky. They joked about it. Whenever it rained, someone would say, "Better keep your boots on, the South Fork is coming for us." But on that Friday in May, the joke stopped being funny. It had been raining for days, the kind of rain that feels like the sky is collapsing. By 3:10 p.m., the dam didn't just leak, it disintegrated. 20 million tons of water, that's the same volume as the Mississippi River, burst forth in a single instant. It scoured the valley clean. It didn't just flood, it picked up trees, rocks, houses, and miles of tangled barbed wire from a local factory, turning the water into a giant liquid saw. Enter the Klines. They were a typical hardworking family in a town built on steel and sweat. Little Thomas was just 6 months old, the center of his mother's world. As the rain battered their roof, they probably felt safe. They were blocks away from the river. But when the black mist hit Johnstown, distance didn't matter. The wave was so packed with debris that witnesses said it looked like a solid mass of moving earth. It hit the town with the force of a nuclear blast. One moment, the Klines were together in their living room. The next, the house was being shredded like paper. In the violent, churning chaos, Thomas was ripped from his mother's arms. He was swallowed by the dark water, a tiny speck in a sea of grinding timber and iron. This is where the story gets cinematic. As the town was being pulverized, a mattress, heavy, Victorian, filled with straw and hair, was torn from a nearby bedroom. By some freak alignment of physics, Thomas didn't sink. He didn't get crushed by a floating steam engine or sliced by the miles of barbed wire. He landed squarely in the center of that mattress. While thousands of people were being swept into the great stone bridge downstream, where a 40-acre pile of debris had jammed and caught fire, creating a literal crematorium on the water, Thomas was drifting. His mattress acted like a padded life raft. It bounced off jagged logs. It swirled through the ruins of downtown. He was a baby navigating a liquid blender, shielded by nothing but a few inches of fabric and a miracle. Hours later, as the water began to recede and the survivors crawled out of the muck, a man spotted something bobbing near the edge of the flood zone. It was a mattress, and on it, soaking wet, shivering, but incredibly alive, was Thomas Kline. He was one of the lucky ones. Out of the 2,209 people who died that day, 1 out of every 10 was a child. Entire families were wiped out. But the Mattress Baby had survived. But survival comes with a price. Imagine growing up as a living monument to a tragedy. Every year, when the anniversary of the flood came around, the newspapers would find him. "Tell us about the mattress, Thomas. Tell us why God saved you." That kind of weight can break a person, or it can forge them. Thomas looked at the ruins of his town and the graves of thousands of neighbors and decided that his life wasn't his own. It was a debt he had to pay back. He didn't go into steel or banking. He went into the priesthood. Father Thomas Kline spent the next 70 years of his life serving the people of Pennsylvania. He became a man of quiet, immense strength, working with the poor and the broken in the very same valley that had tried to drown him. He didn't want the fame of being a survivor. He wanted the purpose of being a protector. He lived through the Great Depression and 2 world wars, always carrying the memory of the roar of the water. He saw the billionaires who caused the flood, Carnegie and Frick, walk away without a single day in jail or a single dollar in fines, their lawyers claiming the disaster was an act of God. Thomas, however, spent his life proving that if the flood was an act of man's greed, his survival was an act of grace that he had to earn every single day. When Father Kline passed away in 1961 at the age of 72, he was buried in the same soil that had once been scoured by the South Fork Dam. He didn't leave behind a fortune, but he left behind a question that still haunts the valley today. History is full of these glitches, moments where the impossible happens for no logical reason. Why did the mattress stay upright? Why did the fire at the bridge miss him? Why him and not the 2,208 others? It makes you think, if you were the one who was spared when the world ended around you, what would you do with your second chance? Would you feel burdened by the why, or would you find a way to make the answer matter? Let me know in the comments, was Thomas Kline just the luckiest baby in history, or was that mattress guided by something we can't explain? And if you think those billionaires should have faced justice, hit that like button to spread the story.